Hello everyone and welcome to Solshow, and on this lovely day I'm going to be reviewing a very personal game. And before I talk about anything to do with this game, I have to rewind to my 17th birthday. My 17th birthday was on March 21st, whatever day that infamous Second Son came out. And back then there was no PS4 or Xbox One or Nintendo Switch in my library. I was just a collector and lover of games, but I mostly played Xbox 360, and I really wanted a fucking PS4. And I came from a not super money-loaded family, you could say, so one day when on my 17th birthday, I went from one birthday being, oh, you got a couple DVDs at a thrift store, and then the next birthday, I'm suddenly looking at a brand new PS4 complete with infamous Second Son. That was not necessary for me. This was a standalone game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't play Infamous 1 or 2. I like getting that kind of new, fresh experience for this one. I opened it up, I played the fucking shit out of this game. I had one of those experiences where you are able to actually play a game and complete it within like a week and a half time because it's your primary focus. I really miss that feeling. I desperately try to get that feeling back with games, but very few and far between does it actually feel like I'm able to get that. But I remember getting that with Infamous Second Son. And before I even talk about the game, just know, just for that story and be able to have that feeling of playing this on my birthday with my brother again, you know, he eventually actually sold the fucking console and it took away from the experience a little bit, but that day, that feeling will never go away, and I relate that feeling to this game. And if you don't know, I'm all about subjectivity and bias on this channel. When I go to one of my examples of how I'm so personally subjective and biased that it inflicts the score a lot, this is one of those examples, because if not for that story and that experience I had with this game, I know this game probably wouldn't get the score it has. But anyway, Infamous Second Son is about a boy named Desmond who is living on an Indian reservation, and one day he starts to develop powers. He gets crazy smoke, fire-related powers where he's able to take chains and break down doors in a fiery slash of destruction, or he's able to turn his body into smoke and pass through certain walls and fixtures. And then he is suddenly being chased, and he's suddenly on the run for being what's called a conduit. These conduits are people who are able to manipulate the elements and world around them. For instance, there's a girl in this game who can suck neon lights out of their light bulbs and use them as energy beams and use them for like this kind of weird energy, whatever the fuck, hologram run that makes no sense. There's another guy who's able to suck the data from satellites and electronics and use that as a fucking sword and can summon demons. They go pretty far with this concept. And Desmond seems to be a rare case where he's actually able to absorb these people's powers just by touching them. So he is able to not only have his own power, like in the first two Infamous games, but he's able to adapt to new powers, which gives the game this whole second layer that the original games did not. Having multiple powers that you flick on and off between not only added elements to how far the gameplay and the combat could go, but it makes it a lot less repetitive, just running around the city doing the same moves and attacks over and over again. But as you would expect, being this conduit monster flying around Seattle just shooting and destroying shit along the way, whether you're infamous, you may or may not be killing people, this puts a giant target on Desmond's back, and he has to go one-on-one with the police force of a woman who scares me to my core. The dupes, as you may or may not want to call them in this game, are basically like a superhero police force, but at the same time they all have this weird kind of concrete power given to them by their leader, Augustine. Augustine, as I said, is a scary-ass woman who was a perfect villain for her short role in this game. I kind of wish there was more of her, or at least something. She reminded me a lot of the villain from Uncharted 3, not only in how irrelevant she kind of seemed to the story at times, but also how much she was able to steal the screen whenever she was on. However, the majority of this game, you're just fighting her bad guys, you're fighting her lieutenants who are just scattered across the city, and they're all just flinging concrete at you, and you're just destroying them with whatever means you have. And I will be honest, the combat gets a lot harder than you would think. The majority of this game is going to be getting out of the way, coming back in and shooting up the opponents, finding ways to stealth or creep your way out and then get back in, and back and forth. You systematically take down enemies one by one until the entire tower comes crumbling down. And I love games that have that concept. A lot of games like Far Cry involve you taking out camps and getting to the core of the region and taking it out and moving on to the next one, and until you have the entire city of Seattle that you've systematically taken by your own hands. And the first time I played this game, I did all the mini missions, I did everything. I had all of Seattle looking clean. That entire map was destroyed. And the first time I played this game, I went the hero route. Whenever I play these types of games the first time, I usually go with the hero route first for whatever reason. I stay Paragon. But in this game, I looked at my achievements and I was like, okay, so this time if I go Infamous, I'm gonna get all the other achievements. So I was Infamous this time around. I was murdering everybody. My character was the edgelord that he looked like, and we just went on a terror raid everywhere. There's a lot more corny lines in the dialogue when you're playing on Infamous, though. The story, I will say, does feel like it was lacking something. I definitely felt like, even when you were playing with Zeke and all the other characters in Infamous 1 and 2, it felt a little bit more personal. Whereas Desmond just kind of feels like a guy running around a city with people barking in his ear. I actually felt with our character in Infamous that he also lives here. He has this special spot on the rooftop that belongs to him. Infamous Second Son, I felt, needed a little bit more of that. But there are big moments in the story. I do think the story is great. It's just not as personal as I want it to be. But there are moments that really make you feel, and moments that will catch you by surprise. And at the end, when fucking Nirvana's playing and you're just on top of the world, you do feel like you've accomplished this big game, even though it's probably smaller than most games nowadays, unfortunately. I love this game. I love it more than the first two. I do have a very personal connection to it. Again, I got it for my birthday. It came out on my birthday, and I will always have that. But it was a super fun experience. It really kind of gave me a sense of the PS4. I just remember those first couple moments in the game when you're hopping around and just kind of getting a feel for the controls, and then the next moment you're shaking a fucking paint can in the game, and you're actually just shaking your controller because of the whole virtual tool thing they got with that. And you're literally using the PS4 controller as a paint can, and it just felt so futuristic to me. I never had heard a microphone inside of, or I hadn't heard a speaker inside of my controller before that, so all of that was just so crazy to me that I couldn't help but enjoy the game. Anyway, I'm going to give Infamous Second Son a very strong 8 out of 10 and the Soul Badge of approval. Now that I've played this game twice, I'll probably never play it again, but I will watch this review and have the memory of what it was. This was a very, very fun game, and I'm always going to have that birthday memory. And fun fact, this was around the time I was thinking of starting my reviews. And there is a light, not finished script that's lost in the ether of infamous Second Son that I wrote when I was 17. Anyway guys, thank you for watching as always, and until next time, feel free to hit up the comments, hit up all the other beautiful videos on this channel, and thank you for watching one more time, and with that, I leave you.